very good evening and a warm welcome to all the faculties and students from various institutions and one and all present here. I am Architect Harshita, Assistant Professor at AAAD, will be your moderator for the day. Request all the participants to mute your audio and video to ensure uninterrupted session for our own convenience. You will have the opportunity to submit your questions to today's presenter by typing your questions in the chat box. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will collect the same and address them at the end of the presentation. Now I request Architect Siddhartha to play the video.
So today it would be about how to draw your geometric shapes and how to draw your perspective drawings and basics about what is a plan and what is an elevation and how do you identify a plan and an elevation. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Kishan, you can take over.
Thank you so much. We are starting with basic shapes. How many of you know what you mean by 3D and 2D shapes? How many of you know? Can someone respond for this? 3D shapes and 2D shapes. What is the difference between that?
So two-dimensional drawings and three-dimensional drawings.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, what do we see in that in the 2D and in the 3D? Okay, fine. I'll just tell you the.
In 2D,
Okay. Yes, Shreya, please.
2D we write the drawings in respect to two axes,
Okay.
X or Y or Z. In three-dimensional, we use three axes to write the drawing.
Okay. Actually, 2D is nothing but we draw it in X and Y axis. Okay. So the Z axis, the one more axis is called as 3D dimension. So now we are going to learn about basic shapes. Okay, where we can find everywhere, wherever we are sitting here, standing here, wherever we go, we can see all kinds of basic shapes. Next one. Yeah, next one. So actually, if you can see this circle here, this is one of the basic, and wherever you go, early morning when you get up, you see some kind of clock or whatever. So it is made up of circle, or I am the circle where around there are no sides for it. Okay, so this is called as a circle, and where we can see a lot of data. It may be some kind of coin, or it may be some kind of clock, or it may be some kind of. So wherein each and every place we can see the circles here. Okay. So in the zeros also we can see the circle. So yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And one more thing which is relating, what I'm teaching you is which is relating to architecture. Is basic shapes. Okay. Oh, okay. Now is it audible? Hello?
Yes, sir. It's on.
Yes, sir.
It's better now.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it is better now.
Yes. So we can see in each and every place the basic shapes. So you go for next one, sir. So a lot of people have seen their houses in 30-40 site, that is in a rectangular format or square format or something. Have you ever seen something like this in a circular format? So where,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I mean, it depends on your mindset how you design your housing. If you can see, this all kinds of basic shapes can be converted into plans, sections, and elevations. Okay, this is just a basic example of how circle can be converted. This is actually in a 2D format where we can see some kind of bedrooms, toilets, and some kind of kitchen here, and some working spaces here. So this is in the, I mean, this is in the circular. So next one. So next we are going to talk about squares. So how many sides do the square have? I mean, this is the basic math you have learned in algebra, arithmetics, or something. Can someone respond? Four sides.
Both
Okay.
sides.
Four sides.
Okay. Where do we see all these squares here? I mean, I have already shown in the pictures. You can see and guess it out. It's not an issue. So if you
Yeah,
had
but
some,
we would want some examples from your side also. How
yeah.
you can relate the shape to everyday objects. So, for example, your tissue is a square if
Yes,
you
sir.
open it. So, give some examples from your sides.
Actually, I
Nap
have this. Okay. Yeah, Divya.
napkins.
Napkins. Okay, that's great. What else?
Mirrors.
Okay, that's great.
Photo frame.
Okay. What else?
Carom board.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Book, some biscuits.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Some of the
We can see.
teapoys.
Okay. Okay.
Sir, a bread.
Okay. I mean, yeah, a lot of you people are coming up with, different, I mean, different ways of representing it. Can you go for the next one, sir? Because I have shown it to the housing part. So basically, as an architect, we have to relate to the housing. So if you can see this house, so it is a G plus one structure. I mean, a ground floor plus first floor. So it is in the square format, which I have taken as an example for you to show this. So in each and every areas, wherever we go, wherever we stand there, so we can see all these kinds of basic shapes and forms there. Okay, so this is one of the examples of squares where we can see it as a square in the housing. Okay, so next one. So rectangle. What do you mean by rectangle? Can someone tell me?
Two sides are equal.
Okay, no, two sides are equal. Then what about the other two sides?
Opposite sides
Opposite
are
sides
equal.
are equal.
Okay. I think you don't have in the rectangle, you don't have the longer side on two sides, on the other two sides. Can you see something like this? Sir, can you give me the annotation right, sir?
Yeah, try now.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Can you see this one? This is the longer side there, right? And this is the shorter side there. So this is called as rectangle, basic rectangle, what we can see. And we can see in each and every places in the house, for example, the bedroom, we can see the cot, which is in the rectangular format. I mean, that a single cot. So, and if
Excuse
you
me,
can
sir.
see, yeah, Aditya, yeah, what happened?
You were not audible, sir. So I told us.
Okay, okay.
I
Now is
think
it okay?
keep your microphone closer. Your voice is a bit low.
Now? Hello?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah,
It's better.
Now
yeah.
it's proper.
Okay, yeah, fine. Thank you. So we can see in the doors. Actually, we can see in ladders, the rectangular format. We can see in the fences. We can see in the flags, and we can see in the envelopes. So what else we can see? Just wherever you're sitting in the house, right? You can see it. You can see in the windows, which is in the rectangular format, which is in the single window, or you can see as of people have told, students have told in the before one. So we can see some rectangular mirrors, which is behind me is a rectangular mirror we can see here. So a
Yes, sir.
lot of things, these are all the basic shapes we can see in the daily usages. Okay, yeah. So can you go for the next one? So this is one of the interesting houses which I have picked from the online, where this is actually the longest house like this. So if you can see this, this has the longest side. So as I told in the rectangle, so two sides are the equal. So one other two sides are the longer sides here. So can you see the difference from square to the rectangle?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So when you do this kind of housing, it will be more of interesting and creating different kinds of spaces as well. So this is why I'm telling you, why I'm relating all these kinds of basic shapes to the some kind of housing or some kind of plans or some kind of elevations, because this is where we see all these kinds of shapes used. Okay, it's not only about housing. If we can see this, as of now I have mentioned, we can see the door here, which is in the rectangular format.
Yes, sir.
You see that? Yeah, this is how we can imagine where where it has been represented. Yeah. So next one. Yeah, triangle. So a lot of people would have been going to malls and having pizzas. At present, lockdown is there, so no one will be going to that. So this is a little interesting. What is triangle? Can someone tell me?
Three sides are equal, sir.
Okay, okay. What else? Aditya, someone, Kritika. Three sides are equal. So where do we see all these triangles? So as of now, I have told it in the pizza. So this is one. So actually, in the first PUC,
Geometry box, sir.
okay, the protractor,
Yes, sir.
Pyramid.
pyramids.
Pyramid.
So actually, this now what I'm teaching you is the basic 2D formats. Okay, later on we'll be teaching about the 3D formats as well, where we can see the third dimension. Where in the beginning I have told that x and y axis will be the 2D dimension, and the z axis will be the 3D dimensions. So I have shown few of the images as a roofing structure as some kind of triangular format here. So everything I have shown here. Yeah. So can we go for next one, sir? So, and I have some few of the interesting images here. So this is actually the triangular plan what we can see here. Okay. So this one you can make out as an the plan which I have showed you. So it's not only about showing in the plan, we can show it in the elevation as well. So this is in the triangular format which we can see here, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you see this? So isn't it interesting?
Yes, sir.
This is just using by basic shapes, you can create some kind of wonders here. Yeah. So next. So oval, what do you mean by oval? Can someone reply for this? What do you mean by oval? And where we can see this oval? Daily life.
Egg.
Okay. Yeah, Divya, you wanted to say something?
Some mirror also, sir. Oval shapes.
Okay. Yeah. So
The
what do you?
human eyes.
Okay. Okay.
Marble stones.
That's great. Okay.
Tablets.
Tablets, I don't think so. Only few of the tablets are in the oval shape. It's fine.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. So what do you mean by oval? Oval has no sides nor no end. Okay. So that is mean by oval. So I'm a longer side of the circle. So if we extend one circle, so it will become the oval. Okay. So that is called as oval. So and basically it will be used in jelly beans or some kind of eggs, as a lot of people has told. So in the different aspects, we can use this oval. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So next one. So hexagon. Okay, especially when a lot of people are driving, so we can see the stop signal. Maybe we can see a lot of things where when you're going on the village side, we can see like this kind of hexagon shapes showing that village limits or something like that. So what do you mean by a hexagon? So hexagon has like 6 sides. Everyone accepts it.
Yes,
Everyone.
sir.
Okay. So where do we find it? Hexagon. I have told already the signal, so we can use in the signals. So where do we else we can use it?
Beehive.
Sorry.
Some of the chocolate boxes.
Okay. Okay. Then,
Chemistry reaction, sir.
oh, okay, that reactions. Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Actually, yeah,
Beehive.
yeah, Aditya,
Yes.
Sir, beehive.
beehive. Okay, so yeah, I'll show you something. So go for the next one, sir. So I have some plan to show you. So which is in the rectangular format. So we hexagon format. Sorry. So where you can see this, a lot of spaces have been created, where in the verandas where a lot of people have in their houses kitchen entries and everything. So this is one interesting thing where they have created in the hexagon format. So you can see this hexagon format. So by using these basic shapes and geometries, you can create whatever you wanted. So from circle to hexagon we have created lot of things, right? So by using circle we have made out of one plan. By using a rectangle we had made one plan. So by using square we had made one plan. So by using all these basic shapes we can create plans, elevations and sections. So later on session I will be discussing about the elevation part as well. So next one, sir. So now, so beforehand we was learning about that is 2D shapes, that is X and Y axis. Now we are going to learn about 3 dimensional. So that is Z axis. So next one. So you had seen the square, right? We had seen the
Yes.
square. So which had 4 sides. Now how many sides does it have? Cube have?
6.
Okay,
Six.
6 sides.
Yes,
Everyone
sir.
accepts it. Okay, where do we use this cube? Where do we generally see the cube actually?
Dice.
Okay,
Lunch boxes.
okay. Bring up with some other, creative ideas. Don't say whatever I have placed it here, the images and all this. You can tell me. So wherever you use this, the cube or whatever.
Book.
Okay. Book won't be in the cube format, I guess. No.
Magic puzzle, sir.
Okay. Can't you tell the name as Rubik's cube, which will be in the square cube? Rubik's cube. A lot of people will be playing with that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Sir, can we go for next one, sir? So I think previous time someone had told me about the pyramid. So what do you mean by pyramid? Can someone tell me what do you mean by pyramid?
It
The
has
3D of
four sides.
triangle.
Okay. It has
Four
triangle.
sides.
Okay. How many faces?
5 faces.
Okay. Where do we see this pyramid?
Egypt.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay, a lot of things where we'll be using these pyramids. So we can see in the Egypt actually, we can see in the currency notes as well. So where I have already demarcated it. So what do you mean by pyramid is a form of triangle. So which has, I mean, 4 triangular shaped sides and five faces. So this is called as pyramid. Okay, so we'll go for next one. So cylinder, a lot of people would have had Coke or some kind of thrown that Coke bottle into the dustbins and everywhere, right? So
Yes,
you
sir.
can see that cylinders there. So normal gas cylinder will be there where we'll be using to make coffee or everything in morning or some breakfast, lunch or in the afternoon, morning and everything. So the cylinder will be there. So I have a circle on my top and the bottom. So this is the circle here where we can represent. On the bottom also we can have the same
Yes,
circle
sir.
and bottom as well. So and the longer side which we have it here. So this is called as cylinder, right?
Yes, sir.
So in general we'll be using daily. I mean daily we'll be using all these cylinders and everything. So but the thing is we won't recognize it. We'll just keep it aside and we'll just do something else. So this is the cylinder. So next one, sir. So the spear. So a lot of people will be playing with football, volleyball, and some kind of yeah, some baseball is there. So it has no sides actually. So
Yes,
it
sir.
has no sides where, but we'll be using in the daily life where we can see the solar planet, and will be the some students as well will be the physics and everywhere. So we can see the globe. So we can see the walls actually. So a lot of areas we can see this spear. So where else we can see the spear? Can someone tell me? Aditya,
Marbles.
marbles. Okay, marbles won't be
Stones.
your shape.
Some of the fruits.
Okay,
Planet.
that's great. Okay, I have written it already. Okay, fine. Yeah, yeah. We'll go for next one, sir.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Now,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So, and this is a cone. So it has a flat bottom and a curved side. One side curved. So we can see it here. So lot. Okay. So a lot of people would have had some ice cream, cone ice cream or something, and would have been going for parties. So the party hat is made up of cone and the street cones and everything. So to show the denotation to stop or something like that. So this is to eat and this is to party. So these are all the basic shapes, where this is in the 3D dimension where we are seeing. So this is the cone, what we can actually represent it as. So next one. So rectangular prism. So what do you mean by rectangular prism? Can someone tell me? Aditya, Kritika, someone? Okay. My
Cuboid.
okay. Actually, in the yesterday's session, you have seen the brick as well. So that is a cuboid. That is a rectangular prism. So which has 6 rectangular faces. You can see here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 on the either side. Bottom is 5. On the other side is one more 6. So we can see in the, for example, we can see in the tissue boxes as it may be in. Okay. Please unmute. Please mute yourself if you're listening to something else. So, and Kerala boxes or maybe micro ovens or refrigerator. So, a lot of spaces will be using this rectangular prism. Okay. So, anything else, any users where you can see this rectangular prism?
Laptop.
Yeah, Kirtana.
Laptop.
Okay, that's great. That's great. What is
Mobile.
mobile? Okay, yeah, maybe some tab.
Matchbox.
Uh-huh.
Wardrobe.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
Cell phone, sir.
earphones. Okay, nice. At least you people are opening up and talking. That's great to hear from you. Yeah, we'll go for next one, sir.
Okay, so we'll have a small video of how to draw your shapes and how you can start learning how to sketch.
Welcome students, this is the Learning How to Draw class. If your schedule says something different, you're in the wrong place. Okay, a lot of people are in the wrong place today. Well, for the rest of you, today we are taking the first steps in an amazing journey to become artists. Your imaginations will shape the world, move millions, ignite the hearts of... Yes, do you have a question?
Who are you?
I am your art teacher, Mr. Brad.
And what's that sound?
The music? That's my theme song. I have a theme song.
And you're a professional artist.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel.
So no.
I can teach. We have a lot to cover, and today we're going to be starting with the basics of drawing. We're going to be going over lines and shapes and everything you're going to need as a foundation to move forward and become an artist. So I'm going to go over how this class works. If you're working from home, follow along and feel free to pause this video at any time to get your materials ready, or if you just need a little more time with any of the assignments we cover. Or you can just watch the whole videos and then look at the chapter markers down below on the video to go back to certain sections if you want to do the assignments. Every class, we're going to cover a different topic that will give you a good starting place for learning how to draw. We'll go over the materials you need, and then we'll have lessons where you can learn an important skill or two, and I'll leave you with homework and even link to other free resources available here on the YouTubes.
What if we don't want to do the homework?
Then you will only be hurting yourself, young man. Let's go over to the supply cupboard and see what we're gonna need today. For this lesson, all you need is a pencil and paper.
That's it?
Well, you could draw on the wall or something if you don't have paper.
I want to use my iPad.
That's fine. Draw with anything. I have these cool pens. Use those too.
I also have the Bingo HD 360 Pro, the most advanced drawing tablet ever made.
Oh, son. Should have watched my review before buying that.
Why is it smoking?
Oh no.
Important fact. Don't get too hung up on what tools you have. Whatever you want to draw with is fine. And if all you have is pencil and paper, great, because that's all you need to do any of these lessons.
Looks like we're ready to start. To be an artist, you have to start looking at the world like an artist. Everything you will be drawing is made up of simple shapes. We can boil it down to just three: boxes, circles, and triangles. Just look around this room. Circle, box, triangle, circle, box, triangle. Some items are made up of multiple shapes. And this is what I mean by looking around at the world like you're an artist. You should start breaking down things that you see every day around you into these shapes and ask yourself, how would I draw that using basic shapes? You've probably drawn all these shapes before, but since this is our first lesson, we're going to be starting with the very basics. These three shapes are all made of lines, and drawing lines seems pretty easy, but what about drawing a very straight and very long line? Let's go to assignment 1. The first thing I want you to do is make a bunch of dots down one side of your paper and a bunch of dots down the other side of your paper. Now what we're going to be doing here is pretty simple. We're going to be connecting those dots with a line. The key here is to keep your wrist straight and draw with your arm. If you draw with your wrist, you're far more likely to get a curved line. But starting on one side of the page and moving your whole arm is going to give you a much straighter line. Sometimes practicing your stroke before you actually place the pencil tip down on the paper can help you make these lines even better. Yes, you with the question.
What about those shapes?
These lines are gonna make up our shapes. Any kind of square that you wanna draw is just a bunch of points that we're connecting with lines. In fact, that's assignment 2. Feel free to pause the video here if you wanna finish assignment 1 first. For this assignment, you're gonna need 3 pieces of paper. Paper 1, I want you to fill this with squares. Treat every line like it's important. Start putting down your dots and practicing each line individually. Make it as straight as you can. Try to start on a dot and stop on a dot. Try not to overshoot too much. This is gonna take some practice, not to overshoot or undershoot, but this is the kind of practice that helps you develop control. Piece of paper number 2 is for triangles. We're going to be doing the dot thing again, except this time we're only gonna be using 3 dots to draw those careful lines. And if you don't feel comfortable drawing a line, like it's just at a weird angle, feel free to turn your paper. That's not cheating. That's just drawing. And page 3 is for circles. Now, circles are a little bit different because you're not using straight lines. When practicing your circles, try drawing them in the air over your paper first. Get familiar with making that circular motion with your entire arm and not just your wrist. Like this? No, not exactly. I was thinking more of your hand just hovering above the paper. With the other lines, I wanted you to practice controlling starting and stopping, but with these circles, I want you to overshoot. Feel free to go over that circle once or twice. That's just good practice. And when we start to do ellipses, which are just circles that are a little bit narrower, that's gonna come in handy. So to recap this assignment, 3 pages, 1 of squares, 1 of triangles, and 1 of circles. Can I have a volunteer? You. Jimmy.
Could I use the bathroom?
No, I need you to stand up here so I can show the class how everything is made of basic shapes.
Okay.
We can break down Jimmy into these basic core shapes: squares, circles, and triangles. Then once we have that structure down, we can start to add our detail.
I'm so basic.
We can fix that. Cube, circle, circle, cube, triangle, cube, cube, circle, circle,
That's
triangle,
a lot of
cube,
shapes.
cube, circle, triangle.
This is getting heavy.
Cube. When you see a complex drawing, it's not the shapes that are more complex, it's just the number of them and how they're positioned.
How are these staying on?
I don't really know. Not again.
Wait. This doesn't make sense. You said that these shapes make up everything we draw. But look at the box filled with half-eaten Pop-Tarts over there. That's not made of these 3 shapes.
Oh my god.
We've been lied to.
I don't like this anymore. Hold on. I can explain. I was keeping it simple for our first exercise. Now that we have those basics, we can move forward. What these 3 shapes represent are 2-dimensional versions of cubes and spheres and cones.
Oh, that makes sense.
I still don't like him. I'm gonna add another shape in here, cylinders, just for fun. Half sphere, half cube, all shape.
How you doing?
Our first group of shapes were 2-dimensional, but many of the things you're gonna be drawing in life are gonna be 3-dimensional. So as we look at more complicated shapes, like that half-eaten box of Pop-Tarts in the corner, where are the Pop-Tarts?
Mr. Brad, I don't feel so good. Can I go to the bathroom?
Yes, just hurry. When we look at the empty box in the corner, it's a cube. If we want to draw a very simple cube, we can draw a square and then draw angled lines coming off these 3 corners. Then we can close those angled lines with 2 more lines, and boom, you've taken that square and you've turned it into a cube. Granted, that is a pretty boring cube, but we could draw it other ways too. For example, we could start by making a diamond shape. This diamond shape is going to be the top of our cube, and then we're just going to draw 3 lines going straight down that are all about equal length. Then we'll close them up at the bottom, and now we have a cube from a different angle.
This is hard.
Yeah, if you've never done this before, it could seem complicated, but we're going to be going over these shapes again and again. Spheres are just circles, and like the cubes, they exist in a 3D space as well. To draw them, I like to find the center line. So if we're looking at this circle straight on, these are just going to be straight lines on our circle. But if we tilt the circle a little bit, these lines are going to become more rounded. Now, when you draw your circles, what I want you to do is to draw the full ellipse, even the part that you're not going to see behind the circle, just like this. And then for that center line, I want to do that again. If you want to make it look pretty, you can always erase the back half of those lines. But the wider you make that ellipse, the more of the side or the front of that circle you're going to see. Now the cone is pretty easy. It's a triangle, but instead of a flat line along the bottom, we're going to add an ellipse here. The taller we make that ellipse, the more it's going to look like you're looking down at your cube. And you're going to want to adjust the top of that cone to accommodate for the size of the ellipse that you've put under it. Now the cylinder is similar. It's a box with an ellipse at the top and an ellipse at the bottom. The bigger you make your ellipse, the more of the top or the bottom of that cylinder you're gonna see. And these are the 4 shapes that make up the core of everything that you're going to be drawing.
There's the bell.
I've got some homework for y'all. I want you to practice these cubes, spheres, cones, and cylinders. I want you to take your pencil and paper and draw 4 of each, and you can turn it in tomorrow morning when you get to class.
Mr. Cowboy, there's still a Pop-Tart at the bottom of the box, and I don't think you can draw that with one of your fancy 3D shapes.
Oh my god. We've been lied to.
Hit subscribe if you want to see the next.
So how was the video, guys? Was it helpful in some way?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so like all the other sessions, we'll have a small assignment for you guys. So we want you to do a basic abstract art with your shapes. So it can be anything like what I'm showing on screen. So please note it down. So it can be with just one shape like you have here with your rectangles, or it can be a combination of circles and triangles, or even circles, squares, and triangles like what you have here. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So do we have to color it, sir?
Up to you. You can color it, or you can just use pencil to differentiate between black and white. If you're good with colors, you can use as many colors as you want. That is up to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And finish this and mail it to the email ID by tomorrow morning. Okay. Okay, so next we'll come to your plans and elevations. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you the basic definition, not architectural, just what is a plan and what is elevation. So plan is nothing but a scale drawing of a object from above. So if you look at the top view, it is called the plan. In architecture, a plan would be the top view cut at the sill level, that is the level below the window. And elevation is generally the view of an object from the front or the side. Okay, so for example, we have a Rubik's cube here. It's a 3D object. So what would be the plan of this cube? Can you guys tell me?
The blue part.
The blue part. So would you see, how would you see it? How would it be looking when you show the plan?
Plain square.
Plain square, yeah. So it's the top view of the object. So it's going to be a plain square with the the details. So the divisions into 9 squares, right? So again, now we are looking at the cube from this point where the arrow is pointing. So what would that elevation look like?
Yellow part.
Yellow part, okay. So similarly, again, the red side, it's going to look at only the red part. Okay, so that is just the basics of how is a plan and what is a elevation. Okay, now I'll just another video. So you can figure out even the other 3D shapes. So cubes, prisms, pyramid, your cylinder. Okay.
Plans and elevations are essential to 3D geometry. If you'd like to brush up on 3D shapes, watch this video. Plans are the 2D illustrations of what you would see if you looked at a 3D shape from above. When it comes to elevations, there are two types, side elevation and front elevation. It's easy. Side elevation is what you would see if you looked at the 3D shape from the side. And the same, but from the front, for the front elevation. Given you know the dimensions of a 3D shape, you can determine its plans and elevations. However, we can't always construct a 3D shape accurately when we only have the plans and elevations. Let's take a look at a few examples. First, we have cubes. Cubes are shapes where all lengths are equal. As they are the 3D versions of squares, it's useful to know that they are made up of 6 squares. So, to find a plan, we just have to visualize the square. A cube is quite a unique shape, as its plan, side elevation and front elevation are all the same. Next, let's look at a standard rectangular prism. If we looked at this from above, we would see a rectangle. This would be the rectangular prism's plan. Interestingly, this 2D plan would be identical to the side elevation, and the front elevation would be a square. This then forms the elongated cube we call a rectangular prism. Now pyramids. A pyramid is a shape made up of either a square or a rectangular base and 4 lateral triangular faces. If we imagine a pyramid, the plan would be a square or a rectangle depending on its base. When we rotate the pyramid to its side view, we see a triangle. This is its side elevation. And since it's made up of 4 identical triangular panes, this is also its front elevation. Finally, imagine a cylinder standing upright. The plan view would be a circle, which is the flat surface of any cylinder. When we look at the side and front elevation of this upright cylinder, we again get identical rectangles. This is because we can't portray a curved surface on a 2D illustration, so we would just outline the shape of what we see from the side and front, thus rectangles. The cylinder is one shape where we wouldn't necessarily be able to reconstruct identically, given only plans and elevations, because you would accidentally construct a rectangular prism given these 2D projections. So, to conclude, a plan is a shape's view from the top looking down. For example, the view you have of your school when you look down at it from a helicopter, while elevation is the view from the front and side. For example, when you're just about to walk inside your school and when you view it from the side at break time.
If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and don't.
Time up.
You guys are done?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how was the quiz? Was it too difficult?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Interesting?
Yeah, sir. It was
Yes, sir.
interesting.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I think you guys would have understood how to relate your plan and elevation to what you saw in the quiz.
Yes,
And
sir.
I think most of you who have written Nata would have faced similar questions in the exam.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And I think now it would be a bit easier for you to do it if you're writing it again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So next we'll move on to perspectives. Okay. So perspectives is how we draw what the human eye sees. Okay, it is more of a manual representation of what the eye sees. So you have basically three main elements of a perspective. You have a vanishing point, a horizontal line, and orthogonal lines. Okay, so using these three elements, we try to make a drawing appear in 3 dimension. Okay. Okay, so what are the elements again? You have a vanishing point. So it is a single point on a horizon where all the lines appear to meet or come together. And horizon line is like the line between your sky and the ground if you look at a scenery. Orthogonal lines are the connecting lines. Okay, so in further images you will understand it better. So, okay, you have a image of a road and a scenery. So what would be the horizon line? Can someone tell me? Horizon line will be the part where the sky and the ground meet. So which would be the horizon line? So this part would be the horizon line. You guys can see the red line?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this would be the horizon line. Then you have the orthogonals. So basically every element in a picture, if you convert them to lines, so you have, see, here you have the road which is indicated as a straight line, the trees. So all that is the orthogonal lines. Okay. And they all meet at this point. That point will be the vanishing point. Okay. Have you guys understood till here?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. So we use 1 point perspective. So 1 point perspective means there is one vanishing point. Okay. And you have similarly 2 point perspective, 3 point perspectives where your vanishing points increase. So 2 point perspective will have two vanishing points. 3 point will have three vanishing points. So it is used to show your objects with the elevation and the depth. So if you can observe this image here, you have the elevations and the depth of the buildings. So again, we'll just have a brief about how to start drawing a perspective. So the first element you always draw in a perspective is the horizon line. So the horizon line, it can be anywhere. It can be at the top, it can be at the center, it can be at the bottom. So the horizon line will kind of depend on where you're looking at the thing image from. So if you place your horizon line at the top of your sheet, it is like you're looking at it from below, near your ground level. If it is at the center, it is about your eye level. That is the human height. And if your horizon line comes down, it is be more like you're seeing from the sky. Okay. So after you draw the horizon line, you place your vanishing point where you want the orthogonal lines to meet. Then you can start drawing your elements. So here you can, for a building example, you start with your basic shapes, your squares or rectangles or even triangles, circles. Then you join it to the vanishing point. Okay, those will be your orthogonals. Then you can convert that square into a 3D object with your parallel lines. Okay. So now you have a cube or cuboid here in a 3D format. So then you remove the orthogonals, you get the 1-point perspective of a cuboid. So you can develop it further, add on more things, then add on smaller details like the windows, doors, and then, so see here, in this sketch you have the horizon line at the bottom. So it is like you're looking above. If you lift your neck and look at the view, that is the view you'll get in this one. Okay. Then if you have like multiple shapes, so this is like how you will create a basic view. Got it? Okay. So we have another video about perspectives now.
Perspective lines. What are they made of? How did they get here? If I erase them, will everything fall down? Those questions and over 8,014 others will be answered in today's lesson, which is all about drawing in perspective. Not again.
Everything in this school is flat. Our desks, your globe, that giant sack of salmonella over there.
That's my lunch. It's not flat.
This is what happens when you wait this long to teach us perspective. We have to live in this flat world.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Let me plug in the Perspectivetron. This machine could take anything 2D and turn it into a 3-dimensional perspective drawing automatically.
So you're not gonna teach us how to draw in perspective?
Trust me, kids, this machine is going to save us all a lot of time.
He hates teaching perspective.
And he thinks this machine's gonna get him out of today's lesson?
Come on, work. I found this old DVD of him teaching a class years ago.
Pop it in, let's give it a shot.
Perspective gives our 2-dimensional drawings a 3-dimensional appearance. It's made up of a horizon line and at least one vanishing point. With 1-point perspective drawing, the planes will face us and those will be flat, but the sides will recede towards the vanishing point.
What's that on his lip?
Ew, I think it's hair.
If we put another box over here on the other side and follow that back to the vanishing point, you start to get the idea of how this works. Imagine this was a small town with a street and buildings. All of these lines recede back to our single vanishing point. Since there is only 1 point here, we call it 1-point perspective. It's great for simple scenes where you don't want things to feel too flat.
Like my desk.
Yes, like your desk.
Is the DVD talking to you?
Whoa.
2-point perspective has, you guessed it, 2 vanishing points. The second vanishing point is also located along the horizon line. Finding the right spacing between these vanishing points can be a little tricky. If they're too far apart, there isn't much depth to your drawing. If your vanishing points are too close together, things start to look way too exaggerated. There's also 3-point perspective. This is the point that we've been drawing out our vertical lines up and down on. But 3-point perspective gives us another point in the sky. This is great if your character is looking up at something. Or if you position that vanishing point just a little higher, it gives you a little more height to your scene. Unlike the first 2 points, the third point doesn't have to be on your horizon line. Okay, I got it working. No, my lunch. Back to the DVD.
Back to the DVD.
Let's take a little closer look at the horizon line. The position of the horizon line determines the viewpoint of your drawing. For most photos and drawings, the horizon line is somewhere in the middle of the page. If you want a top-down view, Move the horizon line to the top of the page or even off your canvas completely. If you want a mouse eye view of the world, put your horizon line along the bottom of the page in order to look up at your subject. Another technique is to have the horizon line on an angle. You don't see this very often because we're used to looking at the world when we're standing up. But if you're seeing the world from the eyes of a person who is lying down, then a sideways horizon line will do the trick. Use this technique sparingly. It may look cool at first to tilt your horizon line, but since it's unusual for the viewer ever to view the world that way, they might end up reading too much into it or just might not connect with the scene because of a lack of realism, even if all the lines are correct.
Check out these really old paintings. They didn't know how to draw perspective yet.
They didn't know how to draw cats either.
Or baby humans.
Huzzah! It's working! Did you see that? I turned your desk into a real desk.
No, you turned that rhino kid into a desk.
You did what now?
Activity. Draw perspective lines over photos. If your perspective line looks exaggerated or just kind of off, drawing perspective lines over photos is a great way to figure out what realistic perspective looks like. Doing this a few times will help you see how far apart those vanishing points should get in order to find the effect that you're looking for. This will also help you find the horizon line if it's not apparent at first. You could do this with pencil and paper, just tracing over a photo that you've printed out or already have, or you could do it digitally like I am here. It's going to be easier if you pick out a photo of something man-made, maybe something with buildings or inside of a room, because it's going to give us some nice straight lines to work with. When you're drawing your lines, don't stop drawing where the line stops. Keep going. It's going to look sloppy at first. That's okay. Then we could jump in and trace out some of the other lines. Where these lines meet is our first vanishing point. We can then follow back the other lines that are going in the other direction to our second vanishing point. Now that we have the vanishing points, we have all of the basics we need for a good perspective grid. We can add our own lines now to make a real grid. If we wanted to draw a box in this scene, we could use the perspective grid to do that. Or if we wanted to get a feel for where a character would go, we could draw a box roughly the size of that character to figure out the proportions. The next video is going to be all about drawing characters and objects in perspective, so subscribe and ring that bell if you don't want to miss that one. After practicing this a few times, you're going to start to be able to pick out the perspective lines pretty easily, and you're instantly going to be able to tell which photos are 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, or even 3-point perspective. Did that work?
Yeah, I think so.
No, I think not.
At least Mr. Brad has a lunch now.
He has a what now?
Activity. Draw some boxes on a plane.
We've been on this plane forever.
We should try drawing boxes. Nope, wrong kind of plane.
Oh.
This is going to be easiest if you use 1-point perspective. Create a horizon line and then place your vanishing point anywhere along that line. Now let's get to drawing. Start by drawing a box, just a rectangle, the part of the box that is facing you. And now we're going to create the side of that box. So we're going to draw our lines going back to the vanishing point. You don't have to draw them all the way back. You can use a ruler. If you draw it digitally, sometimes it's just easier to go all the way back and then erase the parts you don't need. Once these two lines are in place, I'm going to add another straight vertical line to show the end of that box. So for this activity, I want you to end up with 6 total boxes. So if this is our first box, let's add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the page. Practice drawing some boxes so that some are going to be in front of the other boxes and some of those boxes are going to be behind other boxes.
This is too easy.
Okay, then let's shift this from casual mode to normal mode. Try this exercise again, but this time I want you to do it from a 2-point perspective. This time, just draw a vertical line and then each plane of the cube is going to recede to a different vanishing point. And again, for this part of the activity, I want you to draw 6 boxes on your page again.
Still not much of a challenge.
All right, well, if you're ready to turn this activity to hard mode, try it without a ruler. This is terrific practice. Practice drawing the lines above the paper or your tablet first. When you are done, you can pull out that ruler and see how close your lines were. There's actually an entire website with challenges like this on it.
Okay, you're right, this is hard mode.
I know, sometimes I'll warm up just by drawing a bunch of boxes freehand, just like this. It helps me understand perspective, and you can never get enough practice with this sort of thing.
I think I got the hang of this.
Now that we have a better understanding of perspective, we are going to draw a thing, an actual thing. This thing is a door.
Yeah, we can see that.
What does it do?
It opens and stuff. Let's just draw it. You know the drill by now. Like everything, we can start with our horizon line and we can pick out our vanishing points, but I am going to cheat. Many drawing apps, like the one I'm using here, which is called Procreate for the iPad, have perspective grids built in that you can go in and modify, and then you can draw all of your lines already on that perspective grid. If you don't have an app like this, don't worry about it. You can use the same pencil and paper that you've used up to this point, but this oftentimes really speeds things up. To start our door, we are going to draw a simple box, and we're going to draw that in perspective using our perspective guides just like this. But a door has a lot more detail than you initially see. For example, that box has some depth, so it's going to go back towards the other vanishing point. And then I'm going to draw a line over here, and now we have a very thin box. But that door also has a frame, so let's draw the frame of that door as well. And that's just going to be an outline around the box, like that. That frame also has some depth to it, so we're going to come in here and we're going to add that depth just like that. And by adding depth to your drawings like this, you're not just drawing boxes, but you're drawing the inside of the boxes and the outside of the boxes, and you're starting to give the entire illustration more depth than it had before. So when we go and add something like a window to this door, if it's just a simple straight window, that's just going to be another box that we're going to be drawing here in perspective. And that stands out a little bit too, right? So let's add another line over here to make sure that that has some depth as well. And then of course, there is the inside outline of that window. So we're going to go in here and we're going to draw that. And then we're going to add depth to that as well. It goes in, right? So let's add some lines to show that there's some depth there as well. And then I'm just going to draw some little crossbars here for the window to show that there's some little lines in there separating it. And there we go. We have a basic door. Dang it. That didn't work either. Let me try one more thing.
I feel fine.
So guys, that was it for the session. So we covered how to draw your geometric shapes, your perspectives, and how to identify your plan and elevation. So I hope the session was helpful to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You guys had fun?
Yes, sir.
It was fun, sir.
Yeah. You have any doubts or questions?
Guys, you can unmute and check with sir if there's any doubt, any queries.
No doubts.
Well,
Nice.
it was very clear, is it? No doubts.
Okay, looks like all of you have understood everything. Thank you, sir. I'm sure that was an edifying presentation for the students. Also, a reminder for you all, for the creative storytelling submissions, that it has to be completed on or before 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. I hope you guys remember.
Yes, ma'am.
And today's submission again has to be submitted to the same
at the
email
same
ID
time.
at the same time. Okay, so teamwork is the ability to work together towards a common vision. I would like to thank our event coordinators, participants, and all the students. I would like to also thank our principal, Ganesh Babu sir, without whom this session would not be possible. Thank you, sir. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the healthcare workers on the front line who are risking their lives, risking their health, caring for patients. We appreciate all your hard work and sacrifices to keep us safe and healthy. Thank you. It was such an honor to be a moderator for today's session, and I kindly request everyone to connect tomorrow at 6 p.m. Take care, stay safe.